All right, whenever you are ready.
Pee Wee Reese once said that Brooklyn was the most wonderful city a man could play in, and the fans there were the most loyal there were. The Dodgers have been my favorite team since I was born, and the history interests me even more. I'm certain that most of us, if not all of us, have a favorite sports team, but I'll bet that most of us are not too fond of the history of every team or players and their importance to the sports. Today I will be reviewing the most important Brooklyn Dodgers in history from post-war era: Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, and Roy Campanella. The first person I would like to review for you is Jackie Robinson.
Try the other one. The other button.
This one.
Here. A button got pushed. Oh, that.
That's when you put this right there. Oh,
This one.
which one?
The left.
Okay, alright. So Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson's major league career with Brooklyn was from 1947 to 1956. According to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, the most famous accomplishment of his career was when he broke the color barrier and burst onto the scene in 1947. I would like to present some factual data from Baseball Almanac. That Jackie Robinson played second base his entire career. He batted .311, stole 197 bases, and 10 of those were him stealing home, which he still holds a major league record today. With 734 runs batted in, 1,518 hits, and 137 home runs. So it's kind of safe to say, besides breaking the color barrier, that Jackie Robinson would have been admitted into the Hall of Fame solely based on his performance. And during his career, he won the 1947 Rookie of the Year, facing much adversity on that path. Also in 1949, he won the batting title with a .333 batting average, and in the same year winning the National League MVP. And this picture depicts him accepting the award. Fun fact that most people don't know is that in 1957, Jackie Robinson was actually traded to the New York Giants in exchange for 3 prospects and $30,000 cash, but he refused to go to camp, so the trade was then voided, which resulted in his retirement. Now that you have a greater knowledge of Jackie Robinson, I would like to review for you Pee Wee Reese. Pee Wee Reese was with the Brooklyn Dodgers his entire career and retired when he moved to Los Angeles in 1958. An example of Pee Wee Reese's biggest accomplishment is when he was the captain of the dominating Dodgers in the 1940s and 50s, and how he was instrumental in accepting Jackie Robinson as baseball's first black professional. Pee Wee Reese played shortstop for 16 years, with accumulating over 2,100 hits, with 126 home runs, a batting average of .269, and 885 runs batted in. Some awards that he accumulated during the years was when he won the 1956 Lou Gehrig Memorial Award, and also he appeared in over 10 All-Star games. I reviewed for you Jackie Robinson and Pee Wee Reese. Finally, I will review Roy Campanella. Roy Campanella is one of the most influential Dodgers of all time, with being with them from 1948 to 1957. Being a catcher, Roy Campanella was the battery of the team in the 40s and 50s. Roy Campanella was the only catcher, and still today is the only catcher, to win 3 MVP awards. This picture is him accepting one of the MVP awards. He won them in 1951, 1953, and 1955, and also in 1955 he won the World Series. He got 242 home runs, 856 runs batted in, and a batting average of .276. But unfortunately, a great career was cut short before the first season in Los Angeles in 1958, which left Roy Campanella paralyzed from a car accident. Today, I have talked about the most important players from Brooklyn Dodger history post-war era: Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, and Roy Campanella. As you can see, these athletes will forever be praised and recognized for their achievements and performances. Let's just sit back and see if some of the young and upcoming athletes can make as big of an impact at these historical greats.
So Brianna, some comments?
I thought his introduction was good and his transition from each player was good. The fun fact really caught my eye. I didn't know that. And he really knew his statistics and the batting averages and everything. I thought that really well. He slides it pretty well how he transitioned from them. And that's really about it.
All right, Anthony, I thought that you have all the mechanics down pretty well. Did I give you guys the smog analogy last week about learning to drive? I did that in one of my classes. You guys, when you learn to drive, did you ever hear that acronym SMOG that you're supposed to do? Signal, mirror, over shoulder, go when safe. And you kind of learn to do things in kind of a mechanical process, and you get used to doing it. And after a while, you stop thinking about it. I could see you thinking about it while you're speaking. I can tell you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. Here's my attention device. Here's my thesis statement. Here's my preview. Now I'm moving to the first point. Here's my information. You are hitting everything mechanically the way you're supposed to do it. It's not very natural yet. It's not as if it's polished and smooth and you feel comfortable doing it. So you've got the mechanics right. You just need a little bit more engagement, practice, a couple of things to make it go. I'll give you an example. You've got a lot of statistical information in the presentation, which is fine. I thought you presented it pretty well, but the statistical information by itself is boring. It's one of those things that people are going to listen to and say, well, if I wanted stats, I could just look at the box scores, kind of thing. What you need to do is tell us a little bit more about those stories. Why was Pee Wee Reese's reaching out to Jackie Robinson so important? How was it perceived in the public? What stories are told about it? What did Pee Wee Reese have to say about it? That kind of thing. Jackie Robinson, that was a good piece of trivia that he didn't want to be traded and he wasn't going to go and he didn't show up for camp. How did he feel about that whole thing? What was his opinion about being retired after 10 years in the major league? Was that a disappointment to him? There are things that are there that are stories that would make your other information more interesting if they were put into a context. And that's kind of what's missing. So, like I said, all the mechanical things, you're doing the speech the way it should be done. It sounds very much like you understand all of the processes. It just needs to be built up a little bit more. You need to engage a little bit more while you're speaking about the subject. I didn't see anything that was problematic that jumps out and says this was wrong. All right, so everything is good. There's just so many places where you can go that things would get better, though. And I think when you watch it back, you'll see some of that too. You'll know, I could have told that story, or this would have been an interesting thing to fill in. And the pictures are okay. They're mostly used for transitions. Like the three people that you talked about, none of them played in the LA movement. So it's just the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I do think you emphasize that if that 15-year post-war period that you're focusing on, or 12-year post-war period that you're talking about, why is that an important period? Give us a justification for that. I think that's pretty significant. There were changes in baseball, obviously social changes with Jackie Robinson going on, the end of the war and the return to baseball, that it was hyper-competitive. It's the end of baseball as being, just kind of a Eastern phenomena, and it started spreading west after this period, so it changed quite a bit as a consequence. There are lots of justifications for that time period. You need to do a little bit of those sorts of things too. All right, thank you.